going on, guys? My name is Trevor. Welcome back to the channel. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 made its way to theaters this past weekend, and it is my most anticipated movie of the year, and safe to say it lived up to the hype. Today we're going to be going over this movie in full spoiler fashion, not plot point by plot point breaking down the entire movie, but breaking down the big scenes throughout this movie's characters, deaths, the villains, creative decisions that James Gunn took. We're talking about all those major big things in this video. Full spoilers ahead, so if you have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, you have been warned. If you have seen Volume 3, let me know your thoughts in full spoiler fashion down below in the comment section. What was your favorite part? What was your least favorite part? What did you think of the High Evolutionary as a villain? There's so much to talk about. I have a list of notes of things I want to talk about. A couple negatives, which we'll get off right in the top, but the rest are just me basically going to be gushing about this film, again, in full spoiler fashion. Let's hop into things. Let's start off with a couple problems. Number one, Adam Warlock was in some of the trailers, and I started hearing that he wasn't a main focal point throughout this movie. In my opinion, you could have done without Adam Warlock throughout this movie. He's part of the High Scepter, and like the High Evolutionary created who he really is. He's one of those gold people, and he takes out Rocket in the beginning of this movie. So it really set the entirety of the movie, but the character was, I felt like everyone was hyped around seeing Adam Warlock throughout this movie, seeing Will Poulter play this character. I didn't know if this is how comic accurately he is, but I found the character to be kind of annoying, and I also found the character kind of just pointless to be there for being a big comic book hero. Had some good moments in there, but I would say he was only on screen for probably 10 to 15 minutes of the entirety movie, which is like 2.5 hours. So I don't want to say it was a waste to have him in there, but I felt like he could have been used a little bit better, and they set him up for the future of the MCU, and with the Guardians, however, wherever we're going to see them again, they definitely set up a future for him. So it's like a double-edged sword. Like, I enjoyed seeing him, but also I was kind of like, I felt like he should have been maybe the big bad throughout this movie and been the whole time on screen, but he wasn't. Interesting choice. Obviously, the movie wasn't about him, and again, I'm talking about this a lot, but it's a very minute problem. Like, it's not really a problem at all. I enjoyed the character. I just felt like maybe he shouldn't have been in the movie. I don't know. I'm being weird. Next up, this one's more of a question. What were the High Evolutionary's powers? And I'm genuinely asking this, because obviously he's trying to create a perfect world. If it's not perfect, he destroys it and he starts over. That's why he's doing all his experiments on his animals. This movie gets dark. But what are his powers? I never quite understood that. He, like, just controls them with, like, his... And they, like, ah! So if you know what the High Evolutionary's powers are, please let me know down below, because I went this whole movie just being scared of this dude, but I have no idea what he could actually do. So let me know. Let me know down below a little bit history about the High Evolutionary. And again, that's kind of a nitpick. This is more of a question I had. Just put it in the problem section. But finally, the first 40 minutes, obviously they set up in the very first 10 to 15 minutes that you're going to have to save Rocket's life. Rocket's going to be the forefront of this movie. You're going to get a lot of flashbacks with Rocket, but most importantly, you're going to be trying to save Rocket's life. Well, the first 40 minutes, they kind of went a couple of dead-end roads here and there, and I just didn't really know where the movie was going to go. I said to my fiance about 40 minutes in, I'm not loving it so far, and that's not a problem. I just wasn't loving it the first 40 minutes. I was kind of just curious as to where are we going to go with this, what's exactly happening, but as the movie progressed, I ended up loving it a lot more. Those are my couple little itty-bitty, just nitpick, minute little problems I have with it. Adam Warlock, the movie seemed a little directionless in the first 40 minutes, obviously with the main focal point being saving Rocket's life, just kind of like, where are we going to go? What's actually going to happen? And what are the High Evolutionary's powers? Those are my new problems at the end of things. Let's start gushing about this film. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about the High Evolutionary. What a fantastic performance. I'm not going to try to pronounce this guy's name because I butcher it every single time. He's also from Peacemaker. This performance is unbelievably fantastic. I mean, probably the best throughout the entire movie. He's on screen. He yells a lot. He gets angry a lot. You're terrified of this guy. He does such a good job. And he's a great villain because of everything he does to Rocket and these animals, and you dive deep into Rocket and his backstory in this movie, which I absolutely love, which everyone really wanted. He's easily the best member of the Guardians, him and Star-Lord, like, who's your favorite? So I'm so glad we got a lot of more backstory on the character of Rocket. But you're gonna meet his friends Lylla, Chiefs, Floor, and they're like his cellmates, and they're just getting these experiments done on them, and it's so brutal and so hard to watch. You gotta turn away several times, and I see why it's a turnoff for a lot of people, because it does get dark, and you don't F with cats. You ever seen that documentary? Just don't mess with animals. Just don't freaking do it. So I see why people can have problems with it, but it just makes you hate this villain that much more, which makes ultimately, for a great villain, you want to see him taken down. And Rocket is just the smartest of all the animals he have done experiments on. He's figured out so many things to make these things from rage monsters to actually peaceful. He's so intelligent. He's so like beyond actually his brain. And he finds out that High Evolutionary is going to kill him and all their friends. They're not going to go to the new world that the High Evolutionary is creating. So this whole moment you're leading up to this part, like, okay, they're going to escape. Rocket escapes from everything. We're going to see his first escape. He escapes. He saves his friends, but all of his friends die. Lylla, Floor, Teefs all die right in front of him. He takes it like it's his fault. And I can't tell you how hard just the emotion hit that. My fiance was bawling her eyes out just seeing Lylla, the life leave her eyes. You're just like, I didn't see that coming. I really did not. And I applaud James Gunn for making you hate this villain that much more, taking away Rocket's friends. You see why he is so cynical, why he doesn't tell his friends about his past. Pieces up the High Evolutionary's face, rips him to shreds, and becomes the Rocket now that we know and love, this mean, gritty guy. And there's so many moments throughout this that the emotions hit. We're gonna get into all of them. Couple quick things. Mantis has so much more to do in this movie, and I'm here for it. She's, I thought she was fine in Guardians 2. I know a lot of people did not like her character, but throughout this movie, she has so much to do. She's so lovable, she's so funny, and you just really love and want to root for her character. And Nebula is kind of like the leader right now, and she's badass, and I really love Nebula and how she is so cynical. She is so mean, but she's doing what's best for the team, keeping everyone together. I thought them getting more of a limelight throughout this film really hit nicely. Also, Drax, he's always funny, but they have a really emotional moment throughout this when Nebula was like, you weren't born to be a destroyer, you were born to be a dad. That gave me chills, and just saying that out loud, that gave me chills. So all of our side characters of the Guardians all got a lot of limelight and a lot more things to do, and I mean, James Gunn has sent off these characters all so well. Speaking of sending characters off, gotta talk about Peter Quill. Peter Quill and Gamora, he's the love of his life that's no longer there. She's a complete different person, but still the same person. That made zero sense, but Quill is just trying to get with Nebula the entire movie, and he's not, and his vengeance and his rage is hidden inside of him because Rocket, who he calls his best friend throughout this movie, is down and out. And there's so many cool moments with Quill throughout this film, and one of them in particular are where him and Groot, who, by the way, my favorite version of Groot we've ever gotten, he's like young adult Groot, it looks badass. They go on a High Evolutionary ship, it's not a trap, it's a face-off, as Star-Lord always says. They go there. I thought it was so creative how Groot had all the guns inside of him, and when he yells, I am Groot, it was so sick. I was jumping in my seat. So Quill just takes that leadership role in this movie, and he's willing to lay it all on a line, and there's one point you think Quill dies. Newsflash, he doesn't die. I've been talking about the emotional moments throughout this movie, but you gotta talk about a couple, and one that really hit hard is that when Rocket is like on his deathbed throughout this entire movie, everyone's all array, everyone's gone doing their own things. But Rocket has like this vision, like he's in heaven almost. It's all white around. It was so beautiful, and again, I have chills just thinking about this. Rocket's there talking to Lylla, he's crying, he's like, I'm sorry, like, it was my fault, basically, it was my fault, you guys died, and he was like, can we all fly away together into the forever, and she said, the sky is forever, it's beautiful, everything that was always talked about, and he's like, okay, then can we go away together, and she's like, but your journey's not done yet, friend. Oh my god, I have chills so freaking hard right now. And he falls back, he comes back to life, and like it hits him, and his journey isn't done yet. Lylla sent him back down. Dude, can you see my goosies right now? What? This is insane. So that just hit so hard, and that was the one moment where I was like this. I was trying not to let these tears start flowing, okay? The moment that hit hardest for me is when Quill was talking to everyone, hey, where are you guys? Where are you guys? And Nebula and Drax and Mantis are on a High Evolutionary ship, and they're back on, like, not the Milano, but their ship, and they're all talking, and then Rocket talks on it, and that's the moment that got me. That I was sitting there holding my eyes, not letting the tears come out, because it was just, everyone was like, oh, you could see the relief that their friend was okay, and god dang it, I have chills, and you gotta applaud James Gunn for this, because the man just absolutely destroys it with the emotion throughout this movie, and that moment right there was a moment that really got me. I can't wait to experience that again. Now, one thing I can't wait to experience again, I would say it's the single greatest action scene ever in a comic book movie. It's a POV with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not sure how they filmed it. I'm not sure how they did it. I'm not exactly sure who created or came up with this idea. But there's a scene where No Sleep Till Brooklyn starts playing. No Sleep Till Brooklyn! First off, best song you could have played for this scene. Second off, you're like walking in with the Guardians. They're all up. They're walking around. You got Gamora, Nebula, Drax, Mantis. You got Rocket, Quill, Groot, all of them, and they go fight these big like machines the High Evolutionary created, these animal machines, and you're there and the camera fighting with them. You're moving this way. You're moving that way. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in filmmaking, and it inspired me. I don't know how else to explain that, but I was literally left the theater inspired, wanting to go do something with my life in this goddamn world, because that was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And James Gunn jumped a spot into my favorite director chair of the MCU and a top 5 working director today because of that scene. I've never seen anything like that before. I hope we get to see something like that again. My jaw was literally dropped to the floor like, I've never seen anything ever. Looked at my fiance, I said, that was the coolest thing MCU has ever done. She literally looked at me and said, you're not lying. Like, 100%. Never, ever, ever can experience something like that again. It was unbelievable. I'll put that over, Cap, on your left. This moment, it was unbelievable. No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I mean, just what a feature, what a freaking accomplishment that scene was. And overall, I mean, High Evolutionary wasn't killed because that's not who Rocket is, and Rocket's back, and Rocket doesn't die. None of the Guardians die for that matter. We thought we were going to lose one, but I love how they left us with a happy ending, how the story's so morbid, it's so sad, but Rocket's been the main character all along, as Lylla tells them when they're like in heaven, and they just sent these characters off so well. Nebula goes with the Ravagers, looks like she's done. Drax is kind of like doing his own thing. He's like, hey, I'm going to stay here. I'll maybe be like the dad of like the whole group. Nebula's kind of creating the new world for the Guardians. And Quill's like, I'm going to go see my grandfather, because Mantis tells him like, you need to go learn how to swim, which is a great analogy. And Drax is a funny analogy, metaphor line. Quill goes back to Earth, sees his grandpa, hangs out there with him. It's got a funny little ending, but overall it just ended so happy. And that's what I loved about it. And Groot talks. He says at the end, I love you guys. I didn't think it was cheesy at all. I absolutely loved it. And it says at the very, very end of the post-credit scene, the second post-credit scene, the legendary Star-Lord will return. The first post-credit scene got Warlock teaming up with the Guardians that are left, so I'm excited for the future of the MCU. I'm excited for the future of the Guardians, and I am beyond excited now to see what James Gunn does next. This was definitely a little bit all over the place. If you guys made it this far, I appreciate you sticking with me. Comment down below, hashtag High Evolutionary, Rocket kicks ass. That'll be a long hashtag. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. This is one of the most incredible movies I've ever seen in a long, long time. It's my favorite movie of the year so far, bar none. It's going to be hard for anything to top this, and it's going to be hard for anything in the Phase 5 of the MCU to top this, because it gave me everything and more I could have wanted. A trilogy now that I love so much, hold near and dear to my heart, and I'm really excited for the future of James Gunn and the rest of these characters. Let me know your guys' thoughts in full spoiler fashion on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 down below in the comment section. Leave a like. How many times you plan on seeing this weekend? Hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. So much content coming this weekend, from Marvel to MCU rankings to Guardians talk. I'm excited for all of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check me out over on TikTok at Film Geeks, and right here on YouTube at Film Geeks. Thank you guys so much for watching again. I'll see you in the next one.